Oh,
But you're
Yes,
recording
this
it.
is live. Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research with my fellow colleagues, Doug, who is in his usually settings, and Ray, who seems to be hiding in an undisclosed location in a clothes closet. Tough to say, clothes closet, something like that.
oh, I'm in a coat room. I'm in a coat room. How's that?
Cloakroom. Very welcome, everybody. Hey, you guys braved the elements and made it to the Florida swamps in Florida. How was it? How humid was it?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, I had worse weather in New Jersey in August.
Have
What?
you checked for
My
mosquito
my
bites?
hair was curling. My hair was curling, and I got mosquito bites. I don't know what you're talking about.
High humidity, yeah. Excellent. So good to see Workday Rising being back in person. I skipped out after traveling 5 weeks of the last 7. Also showing no preference with multiple vendors and mutual conferences. So not going to anybody, taking Switzerland out of San Diego. How was it on the ground? Tell us, what did you see? What did you share?
Yeah, I think the highlight for me was really finally they got to the Extend platform, something Holger you've been talking about for years for a need for a platform as a service layer. Partners have been asking for it, and it's finally come to life. I think they've rolled it out. Partners are really excited. They're working out commercial models for it. Customers have extended and built apps on top of it. They're kind of talking about it, and I think it finally takes Workday to that next level. I mean, they've worked very hard to get a platform up there.
Yep, very good point. Doug, your key takeaway?
Yeah, for me, the first Rising I went to was in 2019 because they had acquired Adaptive Insights, since renamed Workday Adaptive Planning, bringing the plan into their plan, execute, analyze platform. That's my world. Ray does the ERP, you do the HCM. I'm all about planning. So it was like being in a time warp. The last Rising I was at was 2019 when they had just acquired, also in Orlando. But it's been 4 years since they did that acquisition. So it was good going to a Q&A session, hearing Anil and Bushri and Chano Fernandez talking about the success of the acquisition. They were very upbeat. They talked about how, having Workday workforce planning and financial planning has not only boosted the attach rate for Adaptive, but also landed them in new deals and got them into one new customers because they could have that complete platform.
Yeah, and the other thing is like you and I joke about this all the time. But when companies decide they're going to go into industries, that's like the end. And so we kind of talked about that. But there's a little bit more. I think they're going into a little bit more after the industries area. But I think you could see the heavy emphasis on industries, especially on healthcare, education, the services side. There's still the big industries that they're definitely jumping into. Public sector, of course, some of their strong suits. But I think what was interesting about this Workday Rising is that at this point, like the event, I would say, beats out something like Sapphire, right? You were at Sapphire and you're like, what's going on over here? You went to Workday Rising and it felt like a Salesforce event.
Right? Yeah, 9,000.
How many attendees do they have?
9,000 there in person, 19,000 they said total, including the digital. So yeah, it had.
Yeah, so that's more than Sapphire in person, not the same like online, right? But no surprise there, right? Bigger ecosystem.
Yeah. And I think what was interesting is like if you bought
easy to compare,
Workday,
right? Because it's the same venue, right?
It's like, it's the same venue.
What kind of logos do I see, right? So
yeah, I commented to Ray when we walked in. It felt like the Sapphire show floor, and he said, "Hey, it was bigger than this year's Sapphire."
Yeah,
it looked bigger than this year's Sapphire. The energy was amazing at this event. John Batiste opened up, and in the middle of this event, right, like towards the end, like there are people dancing on stage. I mean, it's like people were all in it. I think they're going to break out a conga line or something. It was just pretty wild. So I was pretty impressed by what they were able to do. And then of course, the other piece that was going on was the fact that people came there as a CFO, or people came there as a CHRO, or people came there looking at a CIO for ERP. You can see the emphasis on the Workday side that they're definitely focused on the finance professionals and getting the IT folks up and running.
Yeah, and they specifically called out more IT professionals there, and part of that extend was new low-code, no-code capabilities, new app building capabilities, and again, a big push on that extend. And extend was closely tied to that industry focus that they talked about as well.
Yeah. So an extend is critical, like you said, Ray, for that part. But I also noticed, and I'm surprised it's not your number one takeaway, a new approach to partners, right? It's no longer Workday will do everything. Partners will be empowered with extend, and there will be things, and there will be even a go-to-market, right? Which is totally new messaging positioning, right? Basically, behind the scenes, it means Workday is admitting they cannot build it all anymore, right? They need the help of partners and ultimately customers to get the automation they need.
I think that was really astute. It's not just partners. Their venture investments have also been taking up a big area as well. So both partners and ventures highlights.
Right, absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right.
So they're stepping up in both.
Workday has not poached into their venture system, right? So we're talking about the other cloud-born company at the same time, Salesforce, right? They're constantly poaching into their venture system, right? And I think it's great to see that Workday is staying out there and not imploding that, right? So I think that's an interesting part. But I mean, partners are super important from that perspective. No question.
That is true.
My critical observation is that the bulk of the innovation clearly comes from the acquisitions, right? It's Windley, it's Peakon. Doug, you mentioned them, right? So, and the message has changed from the one, right? One was no longer one platform, one system, and so on. The message is the core with things around, right? Which, again, you guys were in Orlando, has, like, for me, some signifying. Who's been talking about the intelligent core? Oh, that's the company with 3 digits, right? So, are they becoming more and more similar, SAP and Oracle? SAP and Workday?
Well, I think you're right that one message is breaking down a little. I was talking to customers of Adaptive, and it's been 4 years since the acquisition, but some of the integration work is still happening. Adaptive runs on AWS, and so there's still some administrative work that's separate for Adaptive than it is for the other apps, and there's even some double entry of data that might be required from one system to the other.
Yeah,
but they're working on it.
Yeah, no, definitely some great observations, and I think the acquisitions are actually helping them. If you think about ERP deals, especially in finance, these are really sticky apps. Workday has a narrow window to take out the SAP accounts, and I think that's a very, very important point. If you're an SAP customer and you move to Rise, you will never be able to move off again for the next 10 to 15 years. And so there's a very, very small small window for them to take those accounts. Even though Workday says they have half of the Fortune 500, getting to the next 75%, that next 25% is going to be a pretty tough battle. So I see them moving more into the mid-market going forward and to some of the other areas as well.
Very good point. Well, I would be remiss not to mention the one key thing they did on the HR side, except for new UI, right? The 4 E's are there: engaged, everywhere, empower. And on the HR side, of course, they're doubling down to skills, importing skills from other systems, which makes a lot of sense. So it's good to see that Workday is sticking to the skills message, where they single-handedly have moved the whole HCM industry to go to the skills message, right? All the other vendors had to answer, the ones of this week and the other ones. So
yeah, Anil and Chana very much called out the Skills Cloud, and Sion, the CTO, the tech leader, talked about integrations we're going to see between the Skills Cloud and planning. So Adaptive being able to plan the skills and then bring that to projects. So another important integration to come with Adaptive.
Right. Well, gentlemen, this is from my side. What did I miss? Anything important? Any famous last words from you guys, Doug and Ray, about Workday Rising 2022?
Yeah, well, you missed all the parties, man. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I have one question for that, but anything from the important message on the products, or did we cover it all?
Yeah, on Adaptive, one last thing. They're up to 6,000 6,000 customers from 3,800 when they acquired, and they noted. I don't know if I'm checking on whether this is public. They cited a major Fortune 10 company that has picked up Adaptive in a standalone. Adaptive had a lot of mid-range, mid-sized customers historically, and they, despite all the talk of integration and attach rates for Workday customers, they said that the independent use of Adaptive continues. That's heavily in mid-size, and that they've had some pretty sizable deals with some very large Fortune 10 companies.
Okay, very good, interesting. Good to see the progress. So my last question to you guys, gentlemen: where and when did you have the best food in Orlando?
Capitol Grill, analyst dinner, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful dinner. Delmonico's are great for the Deloitte Healthcare event. And of course, there's some other exciting things that were going on. So as you can see, I'm in an active
you have to say which one is the best, Ray. Come on, ranking, shortlist. Where was the best food you had in your stay in Orlando?
I would say Capitol Grill. I would agree. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
It was good. It was the analyst dinner. Thanks to Angela and the AR team. It was wonderful. So.
Wow, the constellation's broken. We don't have different points. We agree on Capitol Grill. I guess I'm sorry I missed that. Well, thank you.
Hey, but here's the exciting thing. Next year, was it the 23rd and 27th in San Francisco at Moscone will be Workday Rising. So back to San Francisco. No more humidity. Woo.
Easier
Trust
traveling.
Me, when my hair curls, you know there's a problem.
There's a problem. No hair care advice on this show. So, well, perfect. Thank you so much, Doug. Thank you so much, Ray, to set this up impromptu. Your takeaways from Workday Rising. Safe travel. Speak to you soon. See you next week in San Francisco, I think, right?
Yeah, Dreamforce live from the coat closet. We won't be doing that.
Dreaming in force. Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, bye.